Hey, what's up, my friends? Mark Allred here back, and today I want to talk a little bit about a quick setup guide for your RC600. If you're anything like me, you started playing on the RC300 and now you're stoked to get into the RC600. I wish that someone had given me a quick setup guide because there were a number of things that I struggled with. First things first, if you haven't yet, make sure you get the most up-to-date firmware, and if you don't know how to do that, I'm going to put a link to that down in the notes because someone's already made that video and I don't need to redo that. So once you got the right firmware, let's talk about how to get this set up, right? I wanted to be able to just set up the 600 to operate just like my 300 did. I don't use all 6 tracks. I don't use all the bells and whistles. The 600 is very powerful. And so what I did was I started practicing. I felt like I had it dialed in. I had watched a bunch of the videos. I took it live and suddenly things went wrong. I intentionally didn't buy the 600 up front because I read about all the glitches and problems that were coming with it. And so once I started playing live and I started having problems, I thought it still got glitches. You know what? Forget it. I'm not going to use the 600. I'm going to go back to the 300. And so I posted about it in a Facebook group, and a good friend basically said, hey, look, it's a lot more powerful than the 300 ever was. You got to roll up your sleeves and figure it out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to set it up like a basic RC 300 so that you can get to it. And then as you progress, you can dial in a lot more of the stuff. But here's a quick setup guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the very beginning. Go here, click loop, and we're going to go to track 1. Click the button. Okay, now I'm going to take you through these settings. I'm not going to explain all of them. I'm going to explain some of them. So for reverse, make that off. One shot, definitely want that off. Pan, center, play level 86. Now, this is important because what it's basically saying is when you make your loop and play it back, it'll play at 86%, not 100. So you have 14 points percent that your live signal has over the loop, so you can still be louder than what you're playing back. I find that to be really important, and that the 86 is kind of a sweet zone for me. Next page. Start mode will be immediate. Stop mode will be immediate. Dub mode to overdub. Effects on. I don't use the effects. I just left it as it is. Play mode, multi. Measure, auto. That's important too because it basically says that whatever measure your first loop is dictates the length and the measure and everything else that you're doing for the rest of the song. Loop sync. SW needs to be on. Mode needs to be loop length. Next. Now, tempo sync needs to be off. This was the one that was giving me the most trouble. I would go and I would play live thinking I had everything dialed in. And then once I would do my first loop, it was great. The second loop, for some reason, would never come in on time, even though I was nailing my on and off with the button. I was coming in perfect like I have for years. What was going on was that I had it set to the internal tempo sync that was blinking right here. But I don't use that. I use my own internal tempos and whatnot. So that needs to be off in order to make things work. And so everything else was pretty much normal. X fade, whatever. Speed, normal. Bounce in, off. And the rest of these were just standard, what was already set. All right, let's go back now. Now let's go to the record section. Record action will be dub, record and dub. Quantize will be to the measure, which means that all of your loops will line up with each other. Auto record, SW off, sense 50. The rest of these I really didn't even mess with. Bounce will be the SW. All right, let's go back to play now. Click the button. S track change, immediate. Current track is the track 2. Fade time, I don't use fade, so I didn't touch that. And these basically were just standard as well. Loop length will be auto. We just talked about that a second ago. Speed change immediate. I don't use the speed change, but it's set to that. Sync adjust to the measure. So that in and of itself sets it up. And if you want to do that for all, go back to this and do that for all 3 tracks, 1, 2, and 3. If you want to do it for all 6 because you're going to be more creative and use that, do that. Set it up for the 6. But I wanted it to work just like the 300. So I used track 1, 2, and 3, and I wanted it to work like that. Yours might be a little bit different. There might be a tiny bit nuanced, but this should be able to get you up and running quick. Hopefully that works for you. If you got any other glitches, let me know in the comments, and hopefully I can respond to you too. Go do some more live looping.